If you've been watching the channel long enough, you know how much I loved last year's Galaxy A55. I think it was Samsung's best phone, and they've gone ahead and made some improvements for 2025. The Galaxy A56 has impressed me so far, and unlike last year, this year's edition is coming to America. We'll talk about that. Let's bring the camera around and take a look at what Samsung's done to the A56 for 2025. Okay, the Pushins are turned around. It's all business. The first thing you're going to notice when you pick up an A56 is Samsung. I know visually you have the different camera array here. You have the kind of blacked out camera lenses, which is fine. It breaks up the back of the phone a little bit at least. Last year's A55 was completely generic Samsung smartphone. This one, at least it had some sort of design element to it, so I'm okay with it. I like this pink color. There's also an olive color, and then there's white, and then there's black. But I liked the pink color along with the color-matched aluminum rail here. The thing you're going to notice when you pick up the phone is that it is lighter and thinner than the A55. I'm not somebody that needs the lightest phone in the world. I'm not someone who's going to cry about these phones to get thinner and thinner, but it is noticeable and it is a nice change. 8.2 millimeters on the A55, 7.4 on the A56. It is slim in the hand, and you do feel that. And also about a 15-gram difference. The A56 is 15 grams lighter than the A55, despite having a larger display. 6.7-inch display on the A56 compared to last year's 6.6-inch display. We'll talk about that later. I like the brushed aluminum frame. I think that's a nice design touch. It adds a little bit of shine to the phone. You see there, it's just a nice, it just seems like a premium look. And unlike the A54 and A53, I like that Samsung has kept that kind of premium flagship build. Gorilla Glass Victus Plus again on this device with the aluminum rail. It's a really nice feel. It feels like a premium phone. If you handed me this device and said, hey, here's the Samsung S26, the base one, I'm not questioning you. I'm saying, oh, really nice feel in the hand. I like it. It's a premium build. This could easily pass for a flagship device in 2025. So I like that Samsung has kept that. Let's talk about price. Here's where it gets a little tricky. Samsung, you could buy these right now, Amazon, link in the description, all day long, $430. But those are the international versions. Now, I have no problem on T-Mobile. You'll probably have no problem on Mint. Other ones like that, MVNOs, you'll have no problems with those as long as they're on kind of the T-Mobile family tree. This is the first year that I plugged my SIM into the A56 and got the T-Mobile warning that there may be some incompatibilities. I didn't notice any. I've been using it fine, full 5G, no issues for a few days now. So I've not had issues. But if you're in an odd coverage area, go ahead and check your bands and make sure that's something. Now, you're going to want to get the international one if you can, because it's the same phone, 8 gigs of RAM. It's going to have everything you want in it, but it's going to be cheaper because Samsung plans, when this phone's even released in America, which is later in the year, $500 they want to put on this. Because they have to protect the A36, because that's at $400, right? And then you release this at $430. The A36 doesn't make sense anymore. So they're going to protect it. The S24 FE, they're going to protect it. So if you could get this overseas, do it. Because I don't really see this phone making as much sense at $500 as it does at $430. So let's talk about that display. Beautiful AMOLED panel, 6.7 inches, 1080p, yes, but it's nice, crisp, saturated. It's not like last year's panel, the A55. Samsung really, that was the trend last year, what they were doing. Samsung was really going for those natural toned panels, and you can still get it. This does come with the vividness slider. By default, I thought it was interesting. I just tell you right now, I'm on the right side of history as far as Samsung saturated panels goes. This comes default with the vivid color setting and the vividness slider all the way up, cranked all the way up. So Samsung is realizing and heard enough feedback from myself and others about what people like about their panels, and saturation is one of them. It is a gorgeous panel, significantly better, I think, than the panel on the A55. Really feels like a nice flagship experience. Just an excellent overall viewing experience. I love it 100%. Big change. Now, I'm going to wait for the samples. I'm still taking a lot of photos. I will say this. Same sensors, right? Or at least the same specs on them. 50 megapixel main, 12 megapixel ultra-wide, 5 megapixel macro, which I wish Samsung would get with the times. Even Motorola's not including that stupid macro camera anymore. I wish Samsung would get with the times and drop that thing. I will say this, okay? Notably better. The problem with the A55 last year was those drab, soft photos that was just, it looked like you didn't even know what color was. It looked like you had put some sort of color, a filter on it that drained out color on some of those photos. Not the case here. This matches more of the regular Samsung computational photography so far that I've seen on the S-series devices, which is a more warm image, a more saturated image, an overall more Instagram-friendly and social media-friendly image. I like what I've gotten out of this so far. So if you had problems with the A55 cameras, then the A56 might be for you. And let me tell you something, if that bears out, if I can go through the week and a couple weeks and show you some excellent images on the full review of this device, this becomes an absolute monster competitor. It already was, but now it really steps up. And now you're talking competition with the Pixel 9a. It compares favorably because it's not a blowout with the camera anymore. Should be an interesting conversation between these two devices. Same 5,000 milliamp hour battery in this one this year, but that's okay because it went from 25 watt charging in the A55 to 45 watt charging in the A56. That's nice. It's not, the fast charging you get with some of these other overseas manufacturers, but for Samsung, pretty darn good, and it's nice to see it in this device. Let's talk the Exynos. I like it again, okay? I have a problem with budget Exynos processors. I've had a problem with the flagship Exynos processors in the past. Not so much recently. I like the 2400E that's in the S24 FE. I like the 1380 was okay in the A54. I thought it was a good step in the right direction. The 1480 in the A55 was phenomenal. Great performance, excellent battery life. More of the same here. Super smooth, able to do multitasking, able to do gaming, really no issues scrolling through Twitter, Instagram, everything I want to do. Not going to notice a lot of hiccups or slowdowns. Not going to notice that the system getting bogged down with a lot of stuff. As you can see, it's running One UI 7, which is really nice on here. So you're getting 6 generations of software updates. Okay, 6 years of updates, already running One UI 7 with the 8 gigs of RAM, big battery, Exynos 1580 in here, nice screen, $430. Just starts to become an impressive package again this year. Got enough RAM in here. I just really like it. I think that's why Samsung's holding off on this. I think it's why Samsung didn't bring this phone to the United States last year, because it really is going to eat into the A36. If these are even within $100, I think there's no reason to pick up an A36. If it's tied with the S24 FE, that phone ranks a little bit more favorably. Then this one is more powerful. So that's why I think Samsung's trying to figure things out. But this is, if you could pick one of these up, if you could have the bands, the international bands, if it works for you on T-Mobile, this is a phenomenal deal again for $430 so far. I love the improved feel in the hand. It looks gorgeous. It's just got a beautiful panel. There's nothing about this phone. If you're just going about daily stuff, if you're doing more intensive stuff, yes, you're not going to get the full suite of Galaxy AI here, okay? But most people don't care about that. You do lose the micro SD card expandable storage, which is that was a blow, because I've always touted this as the last most powerful Samsung device that you could buy that still has micro SD card expandable storage. Buy new. So that to me was disappointing that Samsung went ahead and removed that for 2025. But the rest of the package you get is impressive. The rest of the package is hard to beat just for a smartphone. Like I said, you're doing video editing, you're doing high-end gaming. Yes, you're going to notice some slowdown and not the amount of frames and higher graphical settings that you might want on a flagship device. But for everything else, Facebook, Reddit, Instagram, Slack, WhatsApp, Threads, Discord, LinkedIn, whatever you got, this is going to be a nice, smooth experience, and it's going to feel premium in the hand doing it, and you're going to be looking at a gorgeous display on top of it while you're doing it. So battery life, so far so good. I want to wait for the full review for the full battery life, but I'm ending my days with 60% plus battery life left. So One UI 7 is running well, no problems there. The battery's running well, and the Exynos 1580 is just as efficient as the 1480, which is what I wanted to see. I wanted to see kind of that mid-range power out of the 1580, but I wanted it to keep and maintain that efficiency, because that's what did it to me. No overheating last year, or very little overheating, but great power efficiency, power management, heat management, all those things that led to phenomenal battery life on the A55, and that is back again, so far so good, on the A56. So if you're somebody who loves mid-range devices, like Samsung, you don't want to pay $1,000, you're nonplussed by the other Samsung flagship devices, this is where I think, everyone thinks I'm a Samsung hater because those recent videos that I did criticizing the S25, nothing to do with hating. This is where I think Samsung really shines. These are devices like the A series the last few years and the A5 series the last few years are where Samsung has really shown that it could put value in a device and make a really phenomenal phone. And it feels like to me the second year in a row where they made such a good phone in the mid-range for this kind of price that they have to hold it back or figure out how to market it or figure out what price it should be in the lineup because it's almost a little too good. You pick up one of these, you're going to question why you need more in a phone, and most people aren't going to need more, especially now when you talk about that 6 years of support. You don't have to worry about stuff on this. You don't have to worry about your banking or your financial apps, which is what people worry about with security patches. 6 years. You pick up one of these and you're set, and you only have to spend $430 to get a nice premium, good feel in the hand Samsung experience. And to me, that makes for a phenomenal early contender for mid-ranger of the year device. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.